Hey everybody, thanks for watching the video. If you would, please like and subscribe if you're into kayak fishing. This right here, I did the PVC bunks for my Hobie PA14, and I'll tell you exactly how I did it and what parts I used. If you're trying to figure it out, this will be everything all in once. Try and make it easy on you. Number one, I am no DIYer. I'm just not that mechanically inclined, unfortunately. But I can usually handle the easier DIY stuff. So this one's definitely, it's possible to do. It's nothing too crazy. You don't need too many tools. So if you're like me, you can definitely get this one done. So first, the Schedule 40. It's gray conduit, 3-inch. This is what I used. It comes in 10 feet sections. I did not have to cut it at all. Unistrut. If you Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, however you get your stuff, ram tool. I use 14 gauge. I think everybody else uses 12 gauge, but I decided to use 14 because number one, I'm only putting one kayak on here. And number two, I kind of want, it's a 200-pound kayak with stuff in it, maybe 220. If it's been in this 14 gauge steel, if it does, it's just a little bit of flex probably isn't too bad, So I didn't mind it. If I were putting multiple kayaks on a trailer, I would probably use the 12 gauge, but for mine, I'm totally happy with 14. I don't think I'm going to have any problems. I'll put the kayak on there, it fits well. So up front, and I saw some other people did it. The spacing for a Hobie PA is 11 inches in the back and just a little bit, let's say 10 and a half in the front, or 10 and 3/4. So the hole kind of comes in just a little bit in the front, and you can see that with the Hobie cradles as well. So spacing 11 inches in the back and about 10 and a half in the front. That'll probably get it for you. You can see how I did it as good as I could. It's real dang close. The strut, the Unistrut, it comes in 10-foot sections, and for this trailer, this is actually a Tennessee trailer, kayak trailer. It's called the Little Frog, and the trailer is awesome. But it comes with 4 bunks, and you can see them in the back there. That's the vertical poles I took off, and then the actual horizontal bunks. They kept bending. I guess they're just not made for heavy kayak, so if you have like a tournament style kayak that's real heavy, I would not use the Tennessee trailer Little Frog. They have the new ones that Dugout's making, and those I'm sure are awesome if Steve and all those guys help them design them. And Tennessee trailer, the trailer is legit, but I started out with a really nice, trailer. It cost me $2,200, so this is definitely on the high end of trailers. And maybe eventually I'll do like a second level and put a rod box or something on there. I did have a Diamondback, Boondocks Diamondback rod carrier I did not like up on one of the 4 bunks, and I sold it because I just wasn't a fan. So this Unistrut, it comes in, again, I use 14 gauge. It comes in a 10-foot section. At Home Depot, it was a bitch because they told me they cut it, but they wouldn't. So they gave me a hacksaw and I had to do it myself. But luckily for me, I only needed two 5-foot sections, 1, 2. So I cut it straight in half, and so 1 cut, and then so that wasn't too bad. But yeah, they say they'll cut it, but I don't think they cut metal. They might give you a hacksaw if you're lucky at your Home Depot or Lowe's. Home Depot didn't do it. Lowe's didn't do it at all. And these parts, I had to go to Home Depot and Lowe's because they didn't have all the stuff. So I kept having to go back and forth. I would say one thing I use, I don't know the size because they're written on the bottom, the U-bolts. I'm going to upgrade those. I'll probably put something else through there, like some heavy duty zip ties, just as a backup. Not that I think it'll do much, but just a holy shit, just in case kind of deal. But the U-bolts, I would say they're a little bit undersized. I'm going to upgrade those because they look like, whatever size they are, I'd say they're minimum. So if I were doing it again, I would go with the biggest size U-bolts you could get. That's still, because whenever you put your spring in there, your spring nut, you can go here and then put it in. You can put it in here, kind of like a T-bolt. You put it in there. You don't have to go over this, so it makes it easy. So you can first put this down and then do that part. You can see here, I cut 2-inch holes, and you could probably do 1.5 inches. These were a little bit big. Looking at it, they're probably a hair big, so maybe 1.5 inches. I wanted to use the biggest washers I could. That's why I went with a 2-inch hole. But I have a hole saw. It's just a Milwaukee brand. You put on the end of a drill. And it's tough to do. It'll hurt your wrist, but you can do it. And there's the bolt, a 2-inch fender washer. That's why I cut a 2-inch hole. And then a 2-inch. A fender washer is just kind of a thin metal washer. First I hammered it out, and maybe you can see it bent there. First I hammered it out because I saw some person on one video did it with a vise. They put the bolt in the middle, put the washer on there, and then just kind of hit it down in a vise, and that bent it. I had to hold on to one side with a pair of channel locks, and the other side I hit with a hammer. But a little ghetto, but it worked. So the bolt, I used 1/2 inch. Now I'll show you the actual bags here. 1/2 inch bolt to a 2-inch fender washer to a 2-inch rubber washer underneath it to give it a little bit of play. And you can see I don't know if you can see it with the phone, but I mean, there is just the absolute hair that flex on that, so I don't think it's going to be much. Pause this if you need to. Neoprene washer, 1/2 inch by 2 inch. This is the steel spring nuts. They come in a pack of 5. You only need 4 of them. 1/2 inch is what I use. That's the important part. And all this, these two are together in the Unistrut section of Home Depot and Lowe's. And then the hex head bolt, quantity 5, 1/2 inch by 5/16, which is pretty much 1 inch. I don't think they're making them any bigger, but I mean, if I hear it bigger, I really got all the threads on it I could. There's enough in there, but if I had a couple more threads, I wouldn't be mad either. So they sell 1 1/4 inch, because I might would try 1 1/4 inch, but 5/16 work just fine. And I put, at the end of the conduit has this section. They're kind of flared out a little bit. I thought I'd put that on the end. Maybe it, I don't know, keep my kayak from flying off one day. I don't know. I saw some people had them in the front, some people had them in the back. So there you go. And another thing you are going to need, an extension, because the depth of that and that 3-inch pipe, you're going to need an extension. So make sure you have that on hand. This is a 3/4 inch head. That's what the hex bolts use. Even though it's 1/2 inch bolt, it takes a 3/4 inch socket. So that's it. If you have any questions, put them below. Not too bad. 14 gauge is what I went with. So the process is, first you bolt them down, you measure them out, put them where you want them, put the strut where you want it on your kayak. I spaced it out 5 feet. Figured that would pretty much, it's the way my kayak sits, the way it would sit on a trailer. For me, 5 feet was the right distance. I spread them apart. I might cut a little bit off the front there, just to pretty it up. I'm not sure I have anything that could cut that here. Well, I can get a blade from a hacksaw and do it here instead of using there. So first you put down your strut, you put down your U-bolts, and then you put down your PVC. You cut the hole. First you cut the 2-inch hole, obviously. So first I did this one. I cut the top hole, and then I cut the hole that actually goes into the strut. First I put that one on there, then I went up and did that end, and then I did this end. I did that. So I did one, first the strut, the U-bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's, you can see that there. Strut, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the process I went in. Then went back and used a Dremel to just soften up the edges a little bit. They weren't too sharp, but if you're going to do it, might as well do it right the first time. Yeah, it was a project. Probably took me at least 4 hours, maybe 5, because I'm kind of slow. Yeah, got it done. But I think it's going to be good. You know, it'll be good for now, putting my Hobie on there. And with the spring nuts that are on there, you can loosen them up and then move it. If you get a different kayak, you can move it in or out. And it still left me plenty of room on my trailer to put a second deck if I want to. I could attach something there and then go up and put a second level on it. So there you go. If you have any questions, leave them below, and please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. And good luck if you're doing it. It's not too tough. You can do it.